Hey, brothers, how you doing?
Yo, what is going on,
My
Nikki?
Wi-Fi is crap.
It
My
is.
Wi-Fi, yeah, my Wi-Fi has been screwing up for months. It just kind of picks inopportune moments to screw up.
All right, I think we're live here, guys.
We are live. Yes, sir. And welcome to yet another exciting episode of
Bamboozled.
BAMBOOZLED, where we expose the lies of the media, the lies of the left, the lies of the government, the lies of the fake right, which seem to be coming clearer and clearer now. And we just tell you how you've been bamboozled, cheated, lied to for so long. And we're here to expose the truth and help you get back to a constitutional United States of America. Ryan, Nikki, how are we tonight?
Fantastic.
Life is going good. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again on another episode of Bamboozled. And we want to just hear in the beginning a couple of things before we dive into the show. The American Patriot Council's mission is to restore and sustain a constitutional government in the United States of America. And right now, we see that we are very far from that. So together, we have a lot of work to do. And since we've been limited on social media, we ask everybody that jumps on the show if you could help us out by sharing it with your networks, help us reach a broader base. You can share the YouTube link. We're on Twitch, Periscope, on Twitter. And that would be very helpful if you can help us get the word out about the show. Thank you for being here tonight and supporting us. And speaking of supporting us, we have had some donations rolling in recently to the American Patriot Council, and thank you to those individuals. I'm going to pull up my list here real quick. I'm just going to do just a couple of shout outs. I'm not going to go through the full list here. Emmanuel V has recently donated. Margaret C has donated. Richard N and Joe M have all recently donated. So I want to say thank you to them. There's more people on the list as well. And if you're able to chip in a couple of dollars to the American Patriot Council, you can jump on our website that you see there, americanpatriotcouncil.org. 100% of those funds goes to helping to restore and sustain a constitutional government in the United States of America. And we have some amazing things that are happening tonight on the show. A lot to bring to you. So, Jason, I'll give it back to you, and let's roll into our first topics.
Well, I want to first of all tell you that we are all thankful for the donations. Also, the big thing, guys, this is completely organic right now. We need you to share this out via text message to other patriots, via messenger, post the link to Facebook, whatever you can do to share this out. Don't try to post AmericanPatriotCouncil.org to Facebook, or you can try, but they won't let you. I'm proud of that. But anyway, so tonight I just wanted to share a screen with you to kind of set the tone for some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Check this out. I just Googled the word CNN. White House, latest on the Biden-Trump transition. Trump raises more than $207 million, blah, blah, blah. There is nothing else in the news besides crazy conspiracy theories. The left loves these conspiracy theories that they're always creating, that Joe Biden is going to be our president, that Trump lost the election, that somehow we had 90 miles of cars in Arizona, or 200,000 people in Florida, or 1 million people in Washington, D.C., and we got beat by a guy who can't fill 6 circles in a gymnasium at a high school. So, guys, we didn't lose. I'm here to encourage you. We didn't lose. The president has a plan. We don't know if we know what it is. We're starting to see some things. We've made some, I don't know if they're predictions in the past that came true. We knew Joe Biden was going to pretend to be the president, and here we are. And now tonight we'll talk a little bit later about some of the things that goes into. But right now, I want to just kind of give you guys some codes, or have Ryan give you guys some codes, and we'll talk about these and just kind of go into what these mean and go from there. We've got a few different codes on the screen right now. This one says U.S. Code 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection. Can you see that, Ryan?
I can. And just real quick before we dive into that, I just would like to explain, maybe somebody doesn't know as we dive into these here. So there's the U.S. Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. And then these U.S. codes, the United States codes, are really the laws of the United States. There's even a section in the U.S. Constitution that talks directly about and the laws of the United States, right? So that's what all of these are. And this kind of helps direct what, the Constitution being carried out looks like. And so, going into that, the Constitution for the United States really is that supreme body of what our government is made up of. So when we're talking tonight about the government, we're going to talk about what it looks like for, certain groups that might be trying to overthrow the government, or what that looks like. We're going to give you some things to ponder and think of yourself and to empower you with information. But what these U.S. codes are, these are really the laws federally of the United States.
So Ryan, can you see that? I'll have you take this one. It's U.S. Code 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection. I thought this one was really interesting, and I want you, the audience, when you start to recognize some of the people that have committed this, please put it into the comments. We don't want to do all the thinking for you here on Bamboozled. We want you to do some of the thinking. What does that say there, Ryan? What is it, and what does it mean?
Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto. So when we think about like Chop and Chaz is just an example, right? Just using that as an example, right? Shall be fined or under this title or in prison not more than 10 years. So let's take a look at that. Whoever incites, we know inciting a riot is a crime, right? And this is kind of dealing with that. So, I mean, arrest to be made, Diane says here. Yeah, I think that's a true thing here. But is there anybody in the comments that could kind of drop some things that come into mind here, right? Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States. Now, let's remember that the authority of the United States is not necessarily a person as much as it is the Constitution. Now, there's people that are involved in that, absolutely.
Yeah, the other thing that I want you to think about is this part right here. Yes, the Dems, but there's some specific people that I think will start to pop into your minds as you guys are. By the way, if you're sharing this, please click a 5 in the comments just so we can see that we're getting some help from you guys, but it gives us encouragement. Whoever incites, sets foot, assists, or engaged in any rebellion or insurrection. So that's going to be your rioters. That's going to be your BLM. That's going to be your Antifa. That's going to be those folks, right? The ones burning and looting and those things. Or gives aid or comfort to. Is there anyone you can think of that might have given aid or comfort to these types of people?
I think there's a lot of it that we could probably pull from. One example we're just going to use, it's a lady that hasn't given up her Senate seat out in California just yet, right? We talked about it on the previous show there with Kamala Harris, that she was, she was raising money to bail out rioters, people that were, burning down and destroying the city out there. So, that's one example there of one person that kind of fits into that, giving aid or comfort there too, right?
Yep. And I highlighted the part that I think is important with that, because you guys need to understand this person that we're talking about, and Kamala is the one. Like, Kamala is absolutely, because we showed you last week and the week before, and a lot of you already know, and I'm not going to bring it up today on the screen, but she tweeted out looking for help from the Minnesota Freedom Front. Remember when she did that? We've talked about it several times. The Minnesota Freedom Fund is designed to bail these very people that are inciting, sets foot, assists, engage, rebellion, or insurrection. That's who she's trying to bail out. So when we talk about this, she cannot hold office in the United States. Now, we could even make the argument that by not denouncing it and by helping this, yes, exactly. Carrie says it's orchestrated attacks and they're well organized in colleges, for sure. So these crazy things that are happening out there right now. if we could even link like a Joe Biden to this, a Hillary Clinton to this, we're seeing what's another code here that we might want to bring up.
Indeed.
That we could talk about.
Go to the next one. Go to the next one, 84.
84?
Yeah, 2384. I like this one right here, 2384. Seditious conspiracy, right? It takes into consideration this broad approach. So if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, contrary to the authority thereof, shall be fined under this and not in prison more than 20 years. So that's a lot of stuff, right? You know, that's a lot of things right there to take into consideration. And so, I mean, I don't know if we want to break that down a little bit, Jason, or kind of how you.
I can break some of that down, because if two or more persons in any state or territory or any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So who, Nikki, is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States?
Will that be everyone that's in America, all United States citizens?
That's right. Everyone and anyone visiting, by the way, somebody who's not a citizen that's here legally or illegally, all people in the United States and citizens overseas are all subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So that's who that covers. So then if they conspire to overthrow or put down or to destroy by force. So notice there's a comma after overthrow, a comma after put down, and a comma after destroy by force. Because it's important to understand that by force is not the only way that this happens. The comma is there. If it was put down by force, overthrow by force, then it would be only force. But what we're seeing right now is a different type of insurrection. We are seeing force. We're seeing force in Portland. We've seen force in Philadelphia. We've seen force in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We've seen a lot of riots and forceful throwing a fit when you don't get your way, kind of rioting and stuff like that. And I think we've seen a lot of that, but also we're seeing now a systematic plan, a plot to overthrow the government of the United States of America. Things that 8, 9, 10 months ago, some of us thought, yeah, it could happen. A lot of people thought this would never happen. And now look where we are right now. So understand that this is important when it says, when the commas are there. And then it says to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or not and levy war, or not one sentence. It says or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof. So there's going to be your rioters, right? This is an important code, guys. Or force, prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States. So when you take over a police station, and the mayor of the town, directed by the governor of the state, says, stand down, let them burn the place to the ground. Let me ask you, first, are you by force preventing, hindering, delaying execution of any U.S. law?
Wow.
One would think so, huh?
Wow.
So, yeah, and so if the mayor tells the police to stand down, get out of the way, help these guys out, give aid or comfort to them so that they can burn our police station to the ground, does that mean that the mayor is now a seditious conspirator as well?
Wow.
You know, and a lot of stuff here is put in place. You know, again, I'm going to go back to the Constitution because that is really important. We've been bamboozled as a society on what the Constitution stands for and what the Constitution really contains. And so many people we see nowadays with the current environment that we're living in, that they're so uneducated that they're okay with the mass governors overriding the Constitution and forcing these draconian all sorts of rules, right? And really that is when we talk about all these different parts of the conspiracy, the Constitution is the foundation, right? When we talk about the First Amendment. And so the government, yes, as people, but really it's an idea and it's a thing that we have here. And we truly are seeing that happen right now, that, it's not all just by force, like the alt-left Antifa BLM groups, but it is from, the governor seats, from people in Congress that are blatantly disregarding, that founding document that provides the freedom and has brought so much prosperity to so many people. We're seeing, as we move through the last several decades and the dumbing down of what those freedoms and the government restrictions provided by the Constitution, we found ourselves in a place where people don't even know that their freedoms are being taken from them, and they're almost championing and cheering it on in the face of tyranny. It's bamboozlement at its finest, and these Dems know what they're doing.
Oh, yes, indeed.
So look, I brought the clause Ryan is referring to up so that we could read it again. We've read it a lot on the show. Don't trust us. Don't think that you shouldn't go look this up yourself. Go look it up yourself. Read the Constitution. Read these things. It says this Constitution, and this is Article 6, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof. We'll get to that. And all treaties made or which shall be made ever under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, and anything in the Constitution or laws of any state contrary, notwithstanding. So let's look back, in pursuance thereof. So what that means is all other laws come after all other laws for you state legislatures, Mike Shirkey, Lee Chatfield here in Michigan. If you've got you want us to mention on the show, if you got some, and those are Republicans I just mentioned, Steve, for
those
sure.
are just as bad. We're not here toting the GOP. We're here toting the Constitution on this show, right? Yep. We're calling out all of them that don't want to align with that.
Yep, and so we look at this and we say pursuant. So all laws in the United States, any law, no state law is withstanding. It's not withstanding. It doesn't count if they write it and it's contrary to the Constitution. So in other words, if somebody makes a law saying that you have to, or makes a law or makes an order or some other directive that says you have to stay in your house, nonsense, you don't. If they say that you can't gather, nonsense, you can. And if they say that you can't go to church, nonsense, you can go to church. You can pray to Jesus, the Lord of the universe, anywhere you want to in America, because you have freedom of religion, because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Now, when you talk about all these restrictions, all these things, why is it illegal to lock me in my house? Because I have liberty.
Yep.
You cannot take life, liberty, or property. That's in the Fourth Amendment, and it says life, liberty, or the Fifth Amendment. I mean, life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So if you can't take my liberty without due process of law, I don't remember going to trial for having COVID or for being at risk for having COVID. I haven't had COVID that I know of, but I don't recall any of us going to trial for that. So if I haven't been to trial and they haven't presented witnesses against me for my crime that would give them the ability to put me on house arrest, then they cannot do it according to the United States Constitution. So back to our code here, because this is where it gets important. We go to the U.S. code. This is the law. Now, this law doesn't go against the Constitution. And so it says, or take by force, seize. Now, what does the word seize mean? Anyone?
Get a warrant. Yeah. So seize, you're taking something. You're coming in, you're taking something, and that's really what the Fourth Amendment protects from: illegal illegal searches and seizures, right? To be able to come in and just take your stuff.
So by force, they can't seize anything of mine? What if I have a restaurant? Can they seize that?
Can't get away with any of it.
Got to have a little bit of due process.
So, right? but can you seize it? Let me ask you this: can you seize? Because seizing people's right to make a living or places of making a living is also seditious conspiracy. Guys, think of the level of conspiracy. Am I a conspiracy theorist? Right now, it's not a theory, guys. Look,
you're seeing it happen. New York.
It's happening. It's
every day.
you can't argue against it. Just like election fraud, it can't be argued against. You can pretend, but you can't argue against. And here's why. You can't seize. Now, let me ask you what happened in Seattle. Did they seize anything out there?
Didn't they take over an area?
They took
over a police precinct and like a square mile around it or something. Out in Minnesota, same thing. They seized the police station. Grand Rapids, Michigan, they seized the police car and burn it down. Right? Lansing, they seized buildings. They went inside. They entered buildings without, and all of this, guys, can fit under seditious conspiracy, and you can easily attach any kind of terrorism charges to that, because if you look at terrorism, basically what it says is using force, coercion, or fear to intimidate a population for political ends. And we can pull up that definition too, but I would encourage you to go look at it yourself, because that's a fact. So what we're looking at right now is not just simply some people doing some stuff we don't like. It's not the Republicans, or actually I should say the Republicans' constituents, because we'll get to that. The Republicans are just as bad right now. They're just as guilty, and we'll get to that too. But right now, this is not us, the conservatives or the constituents of the Republican Party, throwing a fit or saying we don't like what you're doing. This isn't us having an emotional reaction. Emotional reaction is when you join seditious conspirators and go burn buildings down in your neighborhood. That's an emotional reaction. This is not that. This is us saying, my gosh, this is war. These people have taken up war against the United States. They have committed seditious conspiracy. And in my mind, there's a lot of them who have actually, you can go here and you can go, here's treason, 2381. Ryan, do you want to take that one for a second? There you go.
Yeah, you want to pull that definition up there?
Yep.
Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death, or shall be in prison not less than 5 years, and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding office in the United States.
Okay.
Wow.
Pretty intense, isn't that, Nikki?
That really is something. And what's teeing me off is, when do we see this actually put into place?
Well, I have an opinion. This is my opinion on this, and you guys can weigh in your opinions on this too, because I'm curious. And actually, I want all of you watching right now to put an opinion on this too. And then we do have an announcement to make, or ask for help here in just a minute for a friend of ours. But first, I want to get to this really quickly. If we have these people committing treason, right? And we don't do anything. I had a conversation with a police officer a few weeks ago where we had seen a BLM person push a young lady off of the sidewalk while she was trying to walk. And there was police about 30 yards away. This was in Detroit. And I walked over and I said, are you going to arrest that guy? I know you all saw it. There was 3 police standing there. And the police were like, well, one of them got angry and said, well, you're in the street. And that's illegal too. And I said, you're right. If you got to write me a jaywalking ticket, I'll accept it and I won't contest it. But after that, will you go arrest the guy who just assaulted some lady? And the cop said, we're not going to do that. And I said, you know what? That is the reason that you guys get shot at. That is the reason that you guys have this problem. And when you take this and you say there's no consequences, you know how the BLMers and the Antifa people will scream no justice, no peace?
Yep.
That's a lie. Well, that's true, but it's a lie because they're projecting it. They're the ones that aren't wanting justice. But here's what I think we should scream. If we're going to scream back at them, let's scream no consequence, no peace. Right? If there's no consequences, there will
never happens to them.
In the United States of America. If you can burn a building down and they say, well, you know, I actually talked to a Lansing police chief one time because we saw a BLMer pull a AR on a guy on a motorcycle and stick it in his face and tell him to go a different way. And we called the police. We had video of this and sent the video to the police. The police officer literally said to me, well, we can't arrest those guys right now. I said, why not? Well, you know what'll happen if we arrest those guys right now. It'll be a race crime. And I said, I don't care. It is your job. The reason they do stuff like that is because you don't have consequences. And so I'm bringing that back to 2381 here, treason. If somebody tries to overthrow the government of the United States, high treason, the penalty is, if they're guilty of treason, is they shall suffer death. Why do you think, you guys can put this in the comments, why do you think that they should suffer death? Vicky, Ryan, any opinion on it?
Violated the oath, violated the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. You can't just do what you want to do.
But what was the purpose when the people that framed this law and wrote this law put it in place? Was it because they just wanted to be mean to those poor BLMers out there burning down buildings and committing treason?
I think the whole idea behind the penalty for treason, I mean, that is, you turn your back on your country, right? And so when you have something like what's been built here in the United States, right? It's fragile because you need people to continue to uphold that. And so it almost sets an example of, hey, like we've created this idea here, this constitutional republic where freedoms and liberties. And so exactly right there, it's the example. So when somebody takes and tries to pervert that idea, when somebody turns their back, like a Benedict Arnold, right? I mean, that's one of the main stories that we've had through our history is a Benedict Arnold. And, it's a way to show that, we're not going to take this crap. Either you owe your allegiance to the United States and you help us to continue to thrive and the people that live here continue to thrive, right? Or you pay the penalty, right? And there's a reason that they chose that first. Most things that you see that have penalties or it always ends with, or you can, suffer death or whatever, because it starts off with prison time and then it's some monetary penalty or whatever. And treason's different. Treason's that one that, hey, you turn your back on the country, you levy war against it, right? Death is first. Pretty intense.
And keep in mind, that's war, guys. I'm sorry, but there is not a way to have a war to protect land yet that we found that doesn't require some sort of human casualty. And if you're going to commit war against a country that's well established, you either need to have a really good reason first, which I can't imagine one that you'd want to take down the only country standing between freedom and worldwide communism. But if you had wanted to do that, you better be ready for that penalty. And the problem is we're not forcing people to be ready for that penalty when they do that stuff. That's the problem. And so I want to go into this next one, and I want you to, as I read this next one, 18 USC 2382, misprision of treason. I want you to think about the voting rooms and the counting rooms that we've heard so much about. Guys, we all know, everybody watching this show, whether you're a liberal or you're a conservative or you're a person living in a cave who just happened to get a computer today, if you've had a computer for more than 6 minutes, you know this election was unfair. And I don't care what excuse you say or what nonsense you spew or what CNN line you repeat, that's a fact. You know it, I know it, Ryan knows it, Nikki knows it, everyone watching this knows it. So let's just take ourselves for a minute to the voting rooms and the counting rooms and read this. Whoever, again, owing allegiance to the United States and having knowledge of the commission of any treason against them, right? You owe allegiance, so you become them, United States, commission of any treason against them, conceals and does not as soon as may be, disclose and make known the same to the president or to some judge of the United States or to the governor or some judge or justice of a particular state, is guilty of misprision of treason and shall be fined under this title and imprisoned not more than 7 years or both. Okay, so just for not telling us about it, it becomes a 7-year felony for you, federal 7-year felony. So if we walk into these voting count centers like the TCF Center here, or the place down in Georgia, or the one in Philadelphia where you see them pushing Republican challengers out, right? You see these good, I have a few friends that were there, patriots, good Americans with families and no harm wanted toward anyone, getting called racist names because they're white men, and getting pushed out and called all everything but good, right?
Yep.
And they're in these voting centers, and you think even the ones that were just standing by letting it happen, even the ones who haven't come forward to report it, and foreign entities like Dominion tying themselves into the United States through business should also be treated as wartime enemies. Okay, these are enemies of the state. And you've become one if you haven't stepped forward and you haven't said, hey, look, I saw treason happen.
Yep.
And let me ask you a question. What is the most important thing a citizen can do to exact their civic duty in the United States of America?
Vote.
Vote, right? So
Yes,
if you
vote.
take away somebody's right to vote, you are committing treason. Remember, anyone who levies war or against them or adheres to their enemies. Now, our enemies would be people trying to steal our elections, would they not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I believe that there is so much justice to be brought down that it just must happen soon. That we must, and guys, listen, I believe still to this point, and you guys can tell me what you think, I think Trump is still going to get the presidency. I have not been convinced, and nor will I be convinced, even on the 20th. If he isn't in the White House, I am not convinced, and I am not backing down, and I am not conceding to Joe Biden. And I don't think you should either. But right now, I believe that Trump is going to keep his presidency one way or another, right? But when he does, and when the economy springs back, and Trump does a great job like he did before, I want you to remember, Trump's only here for 4 more years. And I want you to remember what happened. And I want you to remember that right now we're talking about justice, and you cannot forget that. That's right. It's up to you. You cannot forget that as we walk away and Trump wins and we keep our Senate seats and all of this stuff comes out. We cannot give leniency. Gretchen Whitmer doesn't just get disgraced and impeached from office. Gretchen Whitmer goes to prison or worse, right? Same thing with Wolf. Same thing with all of these people. These people, 7 years, 7-year felonies. That's all of you working in the count center that were pushing people out of there. That's everyone. And we can't stop until we have rooted this problem out. And it's not a Democrat problem, guys. It's not a Democrat problem. I want to introduce you to some people, some names here in Michigan. Some of you know, and some of you that aren't from Michigan, you know yours, and you should be putting their names out there. This is Mike Shirkey, Lee Chatfield, Matt Hall. These are people that are running our legislature here in Michigan. Mike Shirkey's the Senate Majority Leader. Mike Shirkey is trying to make sure, literally putting an effort forward, and so is Lee Chatfield, the Speaker of the House of Michigan, putting an effort forward to get Trump out of there, because we know on good information from somebody inside the House, and I have screenshots saying that they have a deal, and Chatfield's going to run for governor only if Trump loses.
What the?
Now, this is a Republican, guys.
No, that's not.
Well, it is. The problem is the Republicans are not who we think they are. Listen, guys, for years, Republicans have done nothing. For decades, the Democrats have thrown a fit, pushed back, call us racist, call us bigots, call us misogynists, call us religious zealots, call us every conspiracy theorist, call us everything they can, and use the media to make those things negative, and then take those things and call us that. And it's become almost like, oh my gosh, they called me a racist. Like, I don't care. Call me a racist. I know who I am. You know what I mean? I know who I am. I don't have to be decided that I'm a racist or not a racist by someone else. Okay? So I am telling you right now that we need to not let that stuff bother us. No more. That we can't allow ourselves to care what the left thinks. And that kind of brings me to something here. Not that. That brings me to something that's coming up soon, I believe. And I'll save this for a little bit. Something that's coming up soon. Have you guys, Ryan, do you have that article? Did you guys see some guy put up a full-page ad in the Washington Times talking to Donald Trump the other day? His name's Tom. He's in Ohio. He's a Tea Party member.
I did not
jump into that. Let me just do one thing here real quick.
Sure.
I want to share this about Adam. Adam has been part of the American Patriot Council. Adam Heikela, he has a show here, Local Vocals, that he's done before. And I would like to just bring up here real quick, as we're going through the COVID crisis, Adam is having some help from some of his friends to kind of keep his business going, right? He's been affected by the shutdown quite a bit. And if we could help Adam out here a little bit, that would be super appreciated, right? I've helped out here a little bit. I know we're going to have some more people help out, but anyways, we can share this in the comments right now. And if anybody is able to help out Adam, that would be fantastic. And just toss him a little bit here. Let's try to help the guy get through, right? So that we can all continue to thrive in our businesses, because you never know when we're the ones that are going to need a little bit of help too. So anyways, that being said, back to the show here. Jason, you were starting to talk a little bit about, and maybe I'll just cut right to the chase, right? One of the things that's been being talked about here is martial law, with Trump declaring martial law and doing one of two things. And I think there could be a lot of arrests that would come out of that, because there is overwhelming, widespread voter fraud. I mean, these people have signed affidavits nationwide, many of them under oath, penalty of perjury, right? These people are facing prison time for lying. Okay. This is evidence in a court of law. Okay. And it is overwhelming evidence that there was massive voter fraud. So, what does that look like if there's martial law that's declared, and we say, hey, look, we're going to do another election, or we're going to make it fair, and we're going to make it valid, and we're going to arrest some of these criminals, because that's really what's happening. And their governor, their secretary of states, there's people that have been in on it in all levels of government, and they need to be held accountable from coast to coast. Okay. Because the federal government does rule over the entire country. And so the gentleman that you're talking about there, and I can share the website here, Jason, while we're talking, we'll dive into this right here. We the People Convention, right? And this is part of, the Tea Party is the gentleman's name. What's his name here? Tom, right? I believe. But they put this press release out here calling for President Trump to invoke limited martial law and to hold a new election, right? And really, if we say, as just people, doesn't matter which party you're affiliated with, it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. Don't you want to have a fair, valid election? If Biden is the rightful winner in a fair, valid election, well, gosh, how in the world? But that's our president then. And then we get behind him and we make sure that, the country continues to go the right way. However, we know that if we have a fair, valid election, Trump will win probably by a larger landslide than any other president, including Joe Biden, with the fake media propaganda that pretends that he thinks and he's acting like a TV star. He's probably going to get an Emmy Award for his ridiculous dogfight acting as well. So this is just an interesting idea here, right? Is it going to go this direction? I think that Trump would have a lot of support publicly, and he'd have a lot of opposition publicly. on this idea. And really, election integrity is what is needed in this country. We are not a third world country, right? We are the United States of America. Why everyone would not want to get behind a fair, valid election is hard to wrap my head around, because I don't want my guy winning by cheating. I don't want my gal winning by cheating, right? I want them to win legitimately, right? Yeah. And so should everybody else. And so I think that this idea here, I mean, if things
exactly
get we might see this happen. And, I think that, it hasn't been happened since I believe Abraham Lincoln was the last time that something like this happened, right? And we're kind of in that same type of environment in this country, right? There's not really uniting with the left right now. The left is alt left, and they've spent the last 4 years bashing conservatives. They've spent the last 4 years, not even looking at Trump as the actual real president and trying to force him out of the office. And same thing with just a lot of the Biden supporters out there and the alt-left Antifa BLM supporters, right? Now they want to call for unity. Like, there's not any unity here, guys. You guys have drove so far apart with your hate and your racist agendas, right? And your fascist ideas.
So a couple things. First, the call for unity here is, Ryan, can you real quick put his link into the comments so people can click it here later? But the call for unity is nothing more than projection, because what they're going to do now, and I'm going to make a couple predictions here. What they're going to do now is they're going to say, we called for unity and the right didn't do it. And that's going to be a reason again to bully the right and to use their liberal supremacy, right? They talk about racism. They say that everybody's a racist, everybody's a bigot, everybody's this, all they do is group people together and then talk about how if we don't fit into the group of the liberal supremacists, that we're all bad, right? We're all this, we're of some group that doesn't measure up, right? Well, here's the thing. They're going to use that to perpetuate their liberal supremacy again. That's what's going to happen as they continue to call for unity out there, right? Yeah, projection is the art of the left. Now, my next prediction, and people might think I'm crazy, but people think I'm crazy a lot.
Before you jump into that real quick, Jason, on the October 22nd episode of Bamboozled, mind you, that was before the election, you 100% called exactly what is happening right now. Yep. To the T. So, all right, I was going to give you a little credibility.
I appreciate credit, but it was all of our research that found that information.
It's all good. It was 100% accurate.
But yes, we did on October 22nd. Go back, watch the show, and we called that Joe Biden was going to pretend he won the election, and all the news networks were going to go with it. Facebook, Twitter, we talked about all this. Mm-hmm. But this is my next projection. Donald Trump. There's two things that could happen. Donald Trump is campaigning right now. He is not really having court cases. He's filed 3 court cases. Everybody says he had 975 cases thrown out. Nobody will. That's not true. He's filed 3 cases in court. Everything else he's doing is public hearings. And he's doing these, and he's sending Rudy Giuliani on a tour around the country to have these public hearings where everybody gets to hear all this evidence, right? And he brings in the witnesses, and some of the people that I've talked to are like, why did he use that witness when he's got this witness, and that witness is way better than, because it's emotional and because he's campaigning. Why is he campaigning? There's one of 2 reasons. And actually, they become the same reason, I think, if what Tom says is true, and I think that it probably is, and that is this. Trump knows his options better than we do. He's got way smarter people than me and Ryan, and no offense to you guys, sitting there giving him, and when I say smarter, I guess more knowledgeable people giving him advice right now. And he knows he can call martial law. But what would you want to do if you were going to call martial law in the United States? What would something that would be really a lot better for you? Yeah, Steve is on it. You know Steve better because Steve thinks like we do. He is making a PR run so that when he does, people like him better. Why? Because he's going to run for president then. Then we're going to have a real election, and he's going to need to win it. And Joe Biden can have his little circles in the yard, and he can go out and have his little rally and put, like, remember when Hillary Clinton, they used to Photoshop all the people into the crowd? Joe didn't even do that. Joe didn't even campaign because he's like, we got this thing on wrap. It's locked down, like we're gonna. But did they really think that? My question is, and I don't know the answer to this, but my prediction is Trump is ramping up for a new election. That's the prediction. But here's my question: did the left actually know, guys? You tell me. Did the left actually think that Joe Biden was going to win through this cheat? I don't know the answer.
What do you think, Nikki? Do you think they actually thought they would get away with it?
No, I don't. I just think that's how delusional they are. It's like I was in Lansing this past Saturday, and we're walking around. I took my daughters. My son didn't go with us, and I had a pretty badass piece on me, thanks to Bill Hewer. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So we're walking around, and I'm feeling pretty good because I'm security. So we get to the area right there, and I didn't realize that Black Lives Matters, and they were like really artistically inclined, and it made me mad because I wish they would use that for good. It said Black Lives Matter, and then it was like these people across the street. I heard the music first, and it was that WAP, whatever that is, by what is her name, Cardi B, and it's just like one of the most sickening, disgusting, step by step. It was like hookers on crack, ridiculous, holding an end white supremacy sign. And there must have been 5, 6, 7 of them. I don't know. And they had their little photographer buddy with them. And it's like, we're all over here. None of us told you to come over here and start this crap. You chose to have your music up. You chose to be inappropriate. You're making these decisions. There's holiday lighting. It was a nice day. It was nice and warm. And so that's what they do. Like they have all this opportunity to be in this country and to make some sense, but instead they want to be on some crazy crap. And then like, oh, hey, Joe Biden, we all voted for you. We all put in the work. Antifa, we're out here burning stuff down. Now they want the payback. So they have their little crackhead buddies on the street. And then they want to see me. And I made sure I turned around real slow so they could see everything I had on me, if you know what I mean. And I just wanted to see that reaction because it's like, here we are. We're the same color, mind you. Some of them were the same, shade as me. But the mindset's not there. They're gone. They say whapped.
So, Ryan, what do you think? Because I have a couple of options I think that could happen. But what do you think about that? Did they know? Did they think they win, or didn't they?
Do I think? I guess clarify real quick what you want me to answer.
Do you think that the left? And when I say the left, because Kim, not the citizens out there that the 20 million or so that actually voted for Joe, the actual left, like the leadership in the left, thought that they would win the election through this cheat.
Well, I do think that they thought they were going to win. I think that's why they tried it, right? And I think that they're still thinking that they are going to win because they continue to intimidate, right? You see people like that Ned Stabler guy and that racist Cynthia Johnson up here in Michigan yesterday, and that other guy, right, as they continue to try to intimidate. So I think delusionally in their mind that they thought like, hey, we can just keep pushing, we're going to get our way. But I think there's a little part of them too that has a little bit of doubt in their own selves, because when you're a liar, when you're a cheater, right, when you know that what you're doing is wrong, you still have that sense of like, man, I know what I'm doing isn't right. Am I going to get away with this? And I think that's going to continue to keep coming back and haunting them. The more that Trump does not concede, the more that patriots like us step up, and we will not accept it. We will not accept a sham election in the United States, because if we see it now go by the wayside, the country goes by the wayside, and we may never see another fair election ever again.
And the election for years.
I think I agree with you, Ryan, but I would add to that, because I think what the left has is a not care. Like, honestly, I don't think that they care whether they steal the election or they don't. I think that they have another step in the game. These guys, look, we're not dealing with dummies here, okay? Like, we're not dealing with idiots. They have been able to convince millions of Americans that they're on their side. You know what I'm saying? So they're not dumb. But what I think is they have a step one, try to steal the election. Step two, huge, massive, terrible civil unrest if they can't pull it off. They have put that together. They have orchestrated that, because what they've got right now is a great play at trying to steal an election. But when Trump, standing strong with his American citizens, come back and say, no, we're not going to do that, then what they're going to do next is they're going to go, okay, they stole the election. And they're right. I told you they were going to pretend Trump didn't want to concede power because he wasn't up for a peaceful transfer of power. And then now what they're going to do is go, see, we told you he wouldn't transfer peacefully, charge. And they're going to send Antifa and BLM into a maddening riot. They're going to kill a bunch of people and say it was a race killing. And they're going to do all of these crazy things out in the street to create more civil unrest than we've ever seen in the United States of America. And that is what is going to happen when Trump takes office for the second term, or when people find out he's going to. And here's my message to those people. And I've been saying this on Twitter and anywhere I can. We're not doing that again, guys. When we win this thing, now it's time for us, the American people, to go out in the street and say, get out of here, go home, shoot some heroin, go kill yourself with drugs, whatever you're going to do, but get out of our streets, because we're not doing that anymore. That's my theory on what's going to take place here in the next couple weeks, which is crazy. It's exciting and it's scary all at the same time.
We live in a very interesting time right now, and as we see the evolution of the United States, and we see the evolution of this idea of preserving freedom, right? Because it's not secure. Freedom is not secure, right? You have to fight for it. And as things change, and you have, like what we're seeing right now with these tyrant governors, with these street level, burn the cop cars, tear it down, overtake the police stations, right? You see these things, you need to evolve with fighting for freedom as well. And so that's really what we're doing. And hopefully this show tonight can empower you with some of the knowledge. And I know from some of these comments here that, we have some very empowered people with us tonight on the show. And, I speak with many of the people on the show and around the country, right? I mean, the Nationwide Freedom March has, one thing it was majorly successful in is building a network of amazing patriots from coast to coast, guys. And, we continue to support each other and having that base of communication as we fight for this freedom. We are in a time right now, and I know like Lynn Wood has been talking about like the 1776 stuff. That was part of what we were talking about with the Nationwide Freedom March, right? The new founding mothers and fathers of this, new 1776 mentality, right? We've been talking about that for months now, and that's really what is happening and what we're seeing. So hopefully the show tonight is empowering people with, some of these ideas to go out there and do a little bit of research on your own and connect some more dots or understand more. Share the show with somebody, guys, and let them watch this a little bit and for themselves, understand how they've been bamboozled and, what they can do in order to make a difference. And it's really up to us, right? Where's our banner here that it's up to us, it's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to us to preserve freedom. The founding fathers are dead, guys. They're not coming back anytime soon, but their spirit and the idea of this freedom and liberty and the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right? When they tell you you can't run your restaurant, you got to close it down. That is taking away your pursuit of happiness. Livelihood while they get to sit there and make their couple $100,000 a year and have their backdoor deals with pharmaceutical companies, but you're not allowed to have a business to feed your family. That is taking away your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we need to put our foot down now as a nation, as we the people. I don't give a crap if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you love this Constitution that we have and you love this country, we need to stand up against this right now. Stand up against tyranny.
I got a way to stand up against it. I was talking to a constitutional lawyer, Rick Martin, and he said to go to his it's constitutionallaw.us. I think it's .group, and go to his resources, and you'll see as far as a discrimination file you can print out. So I printed out about 20 because I've actually contacted him, talked to him on the phone a couple times, and he said that's exactly what we need to do to remedy this situation. We need to get up. We need to stop being scared. We need to stop passing the buck. We need to stop acting like, oh, hey, somebody's going to do this. Hey, if Nikki over here does this, no, don't wait on Nikki. Do it yourself. I printed it out because I wanted to let him know it's not just my children not going back to school because of the mask BS. It's the lady that said something to us in Dale's Natural Foods when she had no business saying anything to us. It's the security guard who was 3 shades darker than me. Thank you. So that unity, that's out the window usually when it's male on female and I'm sitting there with my daughters. It's him going off on me for 30 minutes about his job and all of this crap. His job had nothing to do with me even walking in the door. He's supposed to say hello, how are you, and keep it moving. All of these, this is called discrimination. If people say more than hello to you, you let somebody know. And he said to fill out the papers, and he said go file it with the county sheriff. And if the county sheriff doesn't want to do what they're supposed to do, then you keep on pushing and you get those affidavits. Don't give up. I'm going to go through the process, and I'm going to let y'all know how that goes because I'm sick of this.
So I wanted to, as we get ready to wind the show down, I wanted to show you how long this has been going on, because understand that this is not just all of a sudden 2020 happens and we got this crazy voter fraud. There's obvious crazy voter fraud, right? But this plan has been in the works for a long time. The Democrats have been creating voting zones for themselves. Why do you think they want the borders open? Why do you think they want no ID voting? Well, anybody who doesn't want like this election looked into, there's a reason for that. Anybody who doesn't want ID shown when you vote, there's a reason for that. There's no, look, they say, oh, poor people can't get ID. I've been poor. I was homeless before, but you need an ID. It's the law and you can't do anything without it. So everybody can get an ID. If you don't have an ID, it's your fault that you can't vote. Not mine, not the fault of the mean people who created the law that says you have to be a person to vote. But I want to show you all of that, me going on a rant. I want to share my screen, and I did a little bit of research and did something on Twitter yesterday. And I don't know if I can expand this or not. Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. So what I did first, and I'll show you some different posts, but this is the first thing I did. These are the top 10 list of cities that are the worst cities in America. Worst places to be for danger for several different reasons. And the number next to it is the last time they had a Republican mayor. In other words, they've been under Democratic control. St. Louis hasn't had a Republican in control since 1945. Reno, Nevada is actually the most recent out of the least desirable cities, and that's 1988. Modesto, California.
Wow.
Oakland, California, 1966 was the last time. New Orleans, 1873 since the Democrats have been in control. And it's, by the way, the dirtiest city in America. New Haven, Connecticut, if you go to Yale, if you walk off campus, it's disgusting with homeless people and poverty. And since 1953, the Democrats have been doing that one too. Cleveland, Ohio, the rape capital of America, almost, I think, right there at the top. They are 1956. Detroit, Michigan, 1962. A lot of you saw my video a couple weeks ago. Camden, New Jersey, the number one worst place to be in America. And trust me, I accidentally got off the highway there by mistake one time in the middle of the night. You don't want to do that. 1927 was the last time that they had anybody besides a Democrat running that city. Now, as we scroll up here, I think it's up. I got to go back. As we scroll up, I put these cities into posts and talked about why. Sky high crime rates in St. Louis, Missouri. Total crime not reported. Total property crime, 2,490 out of 100,000 people. So like in your lifetime, somebody's going to steal something from you if you live in St. Louis. Homicides, 11 out of 100,000. You're going to know somebody who got murdered. Rape, 38 people out of 100,000 are getting raped. robbery 122. I mean, violent crime. If we go here to Reno, Nevada, this is the streets of what was once a big tourist destination. Here we just got a picture. It's become dangerous. It's been in decline since the 80s. We got here, Oakland, California came in as the nation's 6th most dangerous city, according to preliminary figures recently released by the FBI, with 15.3 violent crimes per 1,000 people. That means you are going to get like robbed or something once a year if you live in Oakland. That's ridiculous. 54 years of Democrat control. Here's a picture of New Orleans.
Oh my God.
This is a picture of New Orleans, the dirtiest city in America. Yes, 1873 was the last time the Democrats didn't have control of that place. Looks great. I want to live there. Let me show you Memphis, a place I used to love. I used to love to go to Memphis, to Beale Street. If you haven't been there, man, I feel bad that you're going to get robbed if you go there now, because it was great. There's all kinds of bars and stuff that have like musicians that played with B.B. King. But anyways, place I personally love to go, fallen prey to Democrats too. Once a great tourist destination, now writhing with high crime, ranked 11 in the nation. Memphis has been under the Democrat control since '82. And one other point about Memphis is the downtown area where you're looking at, the tourist area, 66% higher violent crime there than anywhere else in the city. So why are they destroying tourism in Memphis? I don't know. Here, we look at New Haven, Connecticut. That's where Yale University is. A lot of these Democrats went to Yale University. And if you attend the ultra-liberal Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, you probably ignore the fact that off campus, the city is riddled with homelessness and poverty. In fact, you probably don't leave campus. Cleveland. This is really interesting. Although Cleveland is hailed as number 5 on the nation's violent crimes list, it has a ridiculous number of open rape cases. So there are cities that have a higher rape rate, but they're not as big as Cleveland, and open cases because they can't seem to solve them. This is a picture of the room where they keep all the unprocessed rape kits in Cleveland. So Democrats, good job on that one. We'll give you a round of applause. Way to take care of your cities. Your citizens really matter to you. I can see it. Here, we've already played my video about Detroit. Detroit is in urban decay. And here we have Camden, New Jersey. Looks a lot like someplace on the hillside of Brazil or something like that. This doesn't look like the United States that I live in, but this is in the United States, and it's within a short train ride from New York City, which will look like this if they don't kick the Democrats out. So I didn't mean to take too long with staring at my Twitter, but I just wanted to congratulate the Democrats and all you idiots voting for them for creating such great cities in America to live in, because it really looks like that's where I want to be. Yeah, Elvis is rolling in his grave. I thought that yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's what the Democrats continue to do with the places they control. There's places here in Michigan that are the same thing, even outside of Detroit. And I even see Flint, exactly. Flint, even Grand Rapids is on a decline in some ways because of some of the Democratic policies that are here, right? We continue to see it over and over again. And when we have an ultra left, like the most liberal senator, Kamala Harris, that is a TV actor, public president-elect, VP, whatever she's nothing, right? She's none of those things. She's a TV actor. She's a media propagandist. She's trying to bamboozle the rest of the nation, right? But anyways, these people are trying to get power, right? These people are trying to control the United States, and they will turn it into Louisiana. They will turn New Orleans, Louisiana, right? The dirtiest city, right? That's what these Democrats continue to do. And so it's even the mindset of some of the Republicans. Again, we're not here just toting the GOP like it's the greatest thing. These people are turning on us, right? I think it was Jane. I think Jane's still watching, right? She called it, two wings of the same buzzard is what she said, right? So you have this decaying idea, and then they have two wings. There's a Democrat wing and a Republican wing. And I do think there's good Democrats out there. I really do think that there's some of them that do mean well and maybe have a little JFK Democrat mentality to them, and they do love the country. I think those people still exist, and I think there's Republicans that fit into that mold as well. But
Right
there's so many of them that do not fit into that mold, and I think this whole Trump idea, right, has captured so many, especially on the Republican side, where they don't fit into the mold of what the establishment has been grasping on, but has this idea of freedom and liberty, right? And we're waking up, right? I know there was some of the comments in here. Where was it? Right here. You know what Steve said, amazing time to be alive. We're going to take back our country. You're damn right. We're going to take back our country. Absolutely. Because patriots will not sleep. No matter what happens over the next couple of months with our presidential office, patriots will never concede and never give up this country. Ever, ever, ever. Never, ever, for sure. We will continue to fight because that's what we do as patriots, right? The blood that was shed by our forefathers, starting back in the 1700s, all the way up through here, through recent times. We will not allow that to just go away without a fight, for sure. And it's exciting. It really is, Steve. It's an exciting time to be alive because we have the opportunity to do this, right? If you look at it from that mindset, like, oh man, we have to go do this or we have to go do that, right? It's like something getting in your way. Is where this is like, man, we have the opportunity to do this. And it's not about us individually. It's not about Jason or Ryan or Nikki. It's, not about any one of us individually, but we get the opportunity to do something for America so that the people that come from all over the world and immigrate here for that opportunity, right? For the chance to make something of their life, right? And Republicans don't compartmentalize it as it's this color person or it's this color person. It's like you get to come here with a mentality. America is a mentality. It's a freedom-loving mentality. It's an opportunity to make something of your life mentality, right? We get to preserve that for our children and the future generations of people that want to come here to have those same opportunities that they don't get in other places around the world. Right? We have the best country in the world, and that is because of our Constitution and people like us that are here on this show tonight that are going to continue to stand up for President Trump. But like Jason said, he's only got 4 more years max. Guys, this is up to us to continue to be that American force, the patriots, into the future. I'm going to stop talking because I could go on a rampage. I'm loving it. Fired up.
I'm going to take you out tonight because I've got a thought for you. What we just talked about, what Ryan just said, Republicans, Democrats. Let's look at that for just a minute. Democrats control the narrative. Democrats control the destruction. You look at their cities, you look at what a Democrat world looks like, and it looks like any neighborhood in Detroit that's just decrepit and falling apart. But what the Republicans' evil is they placate everybody. They pretend that they're doing something. We just saw a grassroots movement here in Michigan start called Stand Up Michigan. And within a month, unfortunately, unbeknownst to them, they were infiltrated by politicians, Republican politicians, pretending that they wanted to help. And then what they did was they decided they were going to form together and get rid of a law that was already ruled unconstitutional in the Supreme Court and continued to try and get rid of that law because it kept people busy and it kept people thinking that Republicans were doing something with the office that we elected them to. Last night, this is a good example. Republicans continue to do this. Last night, I watched the hearing here in Lansing where Rudy Giuliani was there and they were having this hearing. And what I kept hearing from Matt Hall, the Rhino leader of that committee, was guys, we can't be here till 1 a.m. We got to hurry this up. Like, he's got to get home to his bowl of cornflakes and his wife when the country that protects his wife and his cornflakes is falling apart, and he doesn't have time to listen to what people are doing. They're lazy. They're lazy and they don't do anything for their constituents but placate and pretend that they're doing something for their constituents. So yes, 2 wings of the same buzzard, different colors, but they're the same wing. They're the same bird. So we need to drain, like Trump thought of a great slogan, drain the swamp. We need to drain the swamp. We need to take over the Conservative Party and hopefully push out the Liberal Party. Maybe the Republicans become the new Democrats and something new forms in their place. I don't know, but something has to happen because this is unsustainable. right? All of these socialist policies, all of this destruction, all of this torture, and I'll end with this because this is where I'm getting at. When you live in a Democrat city, right, and you were born there, and you've been convinced that the Democrats are the right thing for you. The media's helped them. They've done that for decades. And so you keep voting them in. As you grow and your family grows and your children grow up, they learn that. And so if you're on, and in Detroit, it's something like 70% of the people are on public assistance. In other words, 70% of the citizens in Detroit, Flint too, which is a small town. Why did that happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
But 70% of those people are on some sort of welfare, right? And what welfare does is it gives people, it's welfare, right? It gives people enough, well, about $30 short of surviving every month. So they got to hustle up $30 to $100 every month. Other than that, they got enough food and enough money to pay some rent somewhere and just barely survive. But that is not living, guys. That is creating cattle that can vote for you and feeding them. Like Nancy Pelosi said, here, throw them a bale of hay is how they look at it. I'm not saying that the people are bad. What I'm saying is the Democratic Party looks at it like, hey, throw them a bale of hay. Let's feed the cattle because we need votes next month. And that is the view of a communist government. The people become cattle, and the people only produce for the government. And that is what happens in our major cities where Democrats have been in control for decades now, for over 30 years. In all those cities that I showed, 30 years is the minimum, 32 years. And they have been throwing a bone to those people, treating them like animals for decades, convincing them. It's evil genius, convincing them that they're the hand that feeds them. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Hey, if that hand is only feeding you once a week and you need to eat every day, bite that hand off, eat it, and go take the person's food that's throwing it at you, because you do need to bite the hand that feeds you. You absolutely do. If anybody is feeding you or providing for you, you need to take control of your own life. And that's what America's about. And that's why we need to restore and sustain a constitutional government in the United States of America. That's what I got to say. And we got to wrap this up fairly quickly.
Can I screen share this site real quick where I was talking about being able to print out the discrimination PDF?
Yep.
Right here, it's Constitutional Law Group.us under the Resources tab.
You got to hit the screen share.
Oh, it didn't do it?
No.
You got to click it and click on it because I can't add it yet.
I don't know what it just did. Okay, there we go. Can you see it? So
Yep.
Right here's the Resources tab, and you come down to discrimination and you print this out. And that's how you get that process started. Because, we can talk all day, but unless you take some action, there's no point, and our country's going to be gone. So you just basically fill out the information, and then you go and file that with your county sheriff. And again, that is constitutionallawgroup.us.
All right, guys. Tell somebody. If you're a first-time watcher, or even if you're not, share this out. Tell a friend. Have them come back next week, same time, same place. We love you.
Love you, sisters and brothers. Keep it moving.
Strong.